now convene in a special call board meeting on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, in room 502 at 6300 Irvington Boulevard, Houston, Texas, at 12:30 p.m. We wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present to this board meeting of the Board of Trustees. As trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and set policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operation of the department are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to today's items, on today's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by section 551.071 to 551.084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time today to join us and for your interest in Harris County Department of Education. We do not have any visitors or guests here to address the board. And so, may I have a motion to consider approval of an AB Schools assignment stipend to be included in the 2024-2025 compensation plan? So moved. Second. Motion made by trustee Hinojosa, seconded by trustee Davis. And we have something to say.
Yes. Thank you, President Duvine. Really, the reason why we call this special call board meeting is that every year throughout the entire state of Texas, but specifically Harris County, we're in a race to try to get the best quality staff possible. We have some schools that are unlike any school in the country. We have campuses that are 100% special ed students, which need 100% special ed qualified teachers. These are becoming a very rare breed of teachers to find because of the requirements that it takes for special ed teachers to actually be certified in special ed to teach. And we work and reside in a very competitive environment, as we've seen in the newspaper, where some school districts are already announcing some elevated salaries for that specific group of teachers. And so when we were looking for Ms. Truitt's replacement, and I was doing interviews, the interview prompt was, how would you help meet the needs of our campuses with all of our vacancies? And so I required candidates to do a presentation for me, a format or a plan for how they would go about that. I can tell you that Dr. Sylvester put together an exceptional plan. And since then, he's modified it, and it's become a little bit more audacious than it was in his interview. Because there's numbers associated with it, and I was like, oh, I got mine. But, you know, it's interesting that a large school district just announced these really inflated high salaries for special ed teachers. This is actually something that we were working on months before that, or weeks before that. And so I'm going to have him come up here in a second and do a presentation, but I want you to know that it's been well thought out. We've met with Dr. Vespa. We know that there's budget implications. We know we have a number of vacancies on campuses. It's hard to find these people. It's hard to keep them. I was once a former special ed teacher. I wish I had been in this era. I would have made a lot more money. But we've put together a fairly aggressive plan that we want to present to you and ultimately ask for your approval so we can proceed with, we're about to go into job fair season. And so we need to be able to promote these salaries at these job fairs while we're trying to get these first round draft picks. But we also need to present it to our current staff so they know it's coming, so we don't have them leaving us during the summer and going to another school district, only creating more vacancies. So with that, I would ask Dr. Sylvester to come up and do a presentation for us.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Mr. Colbert. Thank you all for the opportunity to be able to present to you today our compensation proposal as it relates to our AES East and West campuses. To get started, as Mr. Colbert alluded to, there is a dearth of certified special education teachers challenge, but we're up for the challenge, and we're going to do our very best to make sure that we meet those standards and make sure that we have certified people in the classroom to meet the needs of our organization. Currently, at both of our East and West campuses, we have 10 vacancies at each of those campuses. One campus has 28 teachers allotted, another campus has 26, but they're both sitting with 10 vacancies as it currently stands. And so this is why we're very much focused on those particular campuses, because we need to get those 10 positions filled and make sure that we're ready to go for the 24-25 academic school year. So the plan lays out as follows. As you see, our base salary currently is $67,750, and our special ed teachers have a special ed stipend of $2,000, which brings their total paid compensation package to $69,750. What we're proposing is that we take the base, the special ed stipend, which that's $69,750, and add an ABS special education assignment stipend of $52.50. That will bring it to our 0-year teacher making $75,000. Okay, and that will be paid in equal payments of 24 payments. And so that would bring us to the $75,000 zero level. So with that being said, if you have a teacher who has more experience, they're going to absolutely make more money. We're just taking their regular salary, their basic salary, their current special ed stipend, adding the ABS stipend to it of $52.50, and that will be their compensation package for the new year. The reason for that, we have to ask ourselves, how do we separate ourselves from the masses when we're sitting among Houston ISDs and Galena Parks and all these? How do we separate ourselves from the masses? And so this is going to help us to do that, so that we can become the employer of choice, who will seek us out to want to be a part of our organization. And the truth be told, finances incentivizes that process. And so that's going to help us with this as well. As Mr. Cole alluded to earlier as well, it's a retention tool. We have people that make decisions every single school year as to whether they want to come back or they want to move forward in other aspirations. But this will certainly cause someone to stop and pause and think, maybe I should stay where I am. Because if you think about it, these are individuals that we poured finances into, we poured time into, we poured professional development opportunities into. So we've made investments in these individuals who are doing great work with our students. And so we want to retain that talent, and keep that human capital here in our organization. It's going to also enhance the academic experience of our learners. When you have prepared teachers who are fully certified and you have the number that we need, it creates a more rewarding experience for our scholars as they go through the academic process. Teacher-to-student ratios will be reduced. It creates a safer environment. If you've been in the classroom before, when a colleague is not present for work, it causes you to have a long day because you can't work. And so having everyone present, having all the jobs filled, it creates a better working environment, a better working culture, a better working climate for our people who are part of our organization. And so it reduces burnout. It reduces people taking off days. All those things go hand in hand because it's a challenging situation, but when you don't have adequate number of people working, it creates a challenging situation and it leads to burnout, it leads to frustration when you don't have an adequate number of people to be on your team. So that it helps with that part as well. Here's the financial recap of that. So we have 54 total teachers at ABS East and West. At $52.50 per teacher, so you're looking at a total cost of $283,500 as it relates to this portion of this presentation. The next part talks about our teacher assistants, because to know ABS East and to know ABS West is to know that our teacher assistants are critical to their process. I mean, when you go to those campuses, it's hard to tell the teacher from the aide because they're both so ingrained into the educational and instructional process. They're passionate about what they do, and they care about the kids. And so those are individuals who are doing part of the heavy lifting. And so in collaborating with my colleagues, we thought that it would be advantageous for us because these individuals are really put themselves in harm's way. They're really getting involved in this process, that we figure out how do we retain that talent? How do we recruit that talent as well? And so we're proposing a $2,000 AES special education teacher assistant stipend for any assistant that works on our AES campuses in the instructional process. And again, at our campuses, we have one campus that has 5 openings, we have one that has 1, and we certainly want to close that gap and make sure that we're able to find adequate talent to be able to meet those needs as well. As I currently said, as you know, they're part of the integral part of that process, and we want to make sure that we create a safe and organized environment for our kids to be able to function into. It enhances our organizational brand. You know, we become a brand that says, hey, HCDE is going to take care of its employees, and so it enhances our brand. And at the end of the day, what we're all here for, it improves student outcomes. You know, it creates a safe environment for our colleagues, but it improves student outcomes. And here's a recap of our teacher assistance plan. So you have 60 total AES East and West teacher assistants, $2,000 per teacher assistant, with a cost of $120,000. With that being said, I'm more than willing to entertain questions or clarification that was needed.
So I think one thing we didn't discuss is how being a special ed teacher, at least for Harris County Department of Education, since the children we house are some of the most gifted and maybe trouble, or you know, that they need a lot of work, right? So they're tough. These are tough positions. They aren't easy positions. I think a justification for increasing wages would be just a level of difficulty. I know in our society, if you do power line work, it's a very high-paid job. People might not realize it. People there make $140,000, $150,000 a year. Same way as if you're dealing with children that are difficult. I mean, we've had principals that got hurt, and that's kind of uncommon. And it's not uncommon. It's kind of uncommon, but it's less uncommon, or it's more uncommon in other school districts, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So these are just hard. They're hard positions. They're just hard positions. That's the nature of the hard positions. And it justifies a higher wage, at least higher than market wage, just in itself. And then you have they're just hard positions. So I think I agree with this. I don't know that it's far enough, but I agree with this.
I agree with Trustee Dick that our educators are in challenging roles. Just to add to Trustee Dick of saying, maybe it's not really our kids, it's just the role in general is challenging. And so I agree with this as well.
Thank you, Dr. Sylvester, for the overview. It's not a big deal, but just wondering why we're separating the special ed stipend of $2,000 from the ADS special education stipend. Could it not just be kind of rolled together?
The thought behind that is that we didn't want to remove ourselves from what was already in place, because you may try this one year and we don't know how it's going to go for the upcoming years. And so if you have that stipend, stipend's not apart. You put them together, they're joined and they're married. You keep them apart. If you want to make decisions later on down the road, you can, and it doesn't change what was before.
Makes sense. And I noticed you provided the amount of the stipend for teacher assistants, but could you share with us what their salary level is?
I don't have the salary level in front of me, but I can certainly get that to you. Not a problem.
Parker, do you know?
Roughly about 28,000.
Yeah, the TAs for the AD campuses. And let's be clear on a couple things. So our AD campuses are 100% special ed. Our High Point campus is different from our ABS campus, where it's kind of like a DAB. And then, of course, Fortis is our drug and alcohol recovery high school, where we have seen certainly consistently the greatest need since I've been here has been the AD campuses. They've changed the requirements for special ed teachers. I'm a certified special ed teacher, but back in my day, all I needed to be was certified in special ed. Now you've got to be certified in regular ed and special ed to be a special ed teacher, which is, it's insane, I think. It's incredible. So it has made them so incredibly valuable. There was a time when Spanish teachers and science teachers were what everybody needed. Now all of a sudden it's special ed because of the requirements for certification. So, and I also like to note that for years we've been the highest paying school district in the county. And we have not only solidified that position, but we've created some distance between us and second. We got a new person in the district track meet. And I'm not going to say the name of the school district, but it's the largest one in Texas. And so they're doing a very aggressive plan that is almost $10,000 more than what we're proposing. And so, yeah, we got new competition on the block. So I think this puts us in a good position. Certainly, we're a much more desirable place for work than some other places. But to your point, Mr. Digg, these are the kids, some of our students are the students that people don't want to work with. That's why they send them to us. And so we're looking for those people who want to work with these kids. And the reason why our campuses are so incredibly successful is because our staff doesn't fear students. And so when we can get past all the distractions that they've used in their regular campus, we can see that true kid, that true potential, and we can love that child and try to bring the best out. A lot of times that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Responding to Trustee Bunker's question, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. The special education stipend, the $2,000, that's a lump sum? That's something that we'll get all at once, or is that also included?
It's already 24 days.
Okay. Okay, so both the 2,000 and the 5,250, it's all within. So for them, it looks like a raise on their paycheck. It's not like a bonus amount.
Right, exactly, correct.
Okay.
And we do that to keep people from getting both stipends and then resigning in November.
I see.
And then they took all the stipend money, so that way we can ensure they stay.
Okay, so the payout will be the same for the teacher assistant?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I think that it's very clear that we're all on the same page, that we want to support the fact that we have teachers doing incredibly difficult jobs, and we want to make sure that they're being well compensated for having to take care of these things. I'm hearing though what you're saying is that there is a school district who is potentially offering $10,000 more than the $75,000.
So how do we get
Yes,
there?
ma'am.
Yeah.
And also, did I hear correctly that you said that the teachers' aides are making $28,000 a year currently? And so that $2,000 stipend is going to bring them to $30,000 a year. I know that this isn't a full year that they're working, but somebody making $15 an hour full-time through the year is making $31,000. That's not cutting it.
What's the length of these contracts? 183 days? So it's 10 months out of the year? 190.
Can I say something about those aid salaries? So those aides are broken up into stages, I think it's.
Come to the mic.
Good afternoon. So those aid salaries are broken down by aides 1, 2, and 3. So they are brought in on a, I guess like a ladder scale. So some of them are like aid 1, aid 2, aid 3 based on experiences. So if you're coming from out of education, you don't have any experience, you're going to start as aid 1. But if you're coming from a neighboring district like Spring ISD, Albany, with experience, you can get paid at the highest level at maybe $30,000.
And what's the pay scale for that, A1 and A2?
so I'm not quite sure, but he quoted 28, so I'm thinking that, I'm not sure that's the lowest paid. But it's a range. And so when I hire people, they always ask, and I'm coming from outside education, this is what we pay, but most people who understand that if they're in education already.
Okay, thank you. I really like the range though.
Well, we can get you that, but I think it's also important to know that I think Dr. Sylvester mentioned it. So we're proposing to do these stipends. If y'all agree to the stipends, this is prior to the whole department-wide raise we're going to do. So there's still going to be a raise on top of that when y'all approve the budget, if y'all approve the budget in July. So this isn't the last opportunity just to compensate our staff. There's going to be other opportunities.
Pull up the scale that's adopted right now.
If we can, I want to clarify Trustee Cantu's question of 2,000, because any sped teacher in the organization gets the $2,000 whether it's High Point, AES. It doesn't matter which campus. They get 2,000 plus the base salary. The 5250 is for the AES campus. This is here.
So Dr. Sylvester, those are our paid, that's the A1, A2, A3. So at the minimum, the A1 is 29,280. That's prior to your proposal.
And that's 191, that's a 240 days. So 191 is 23.
It's 23. They only work 191.
Okay. I didn't see that in mind.
So your A2s, when it's 25 to 12, your A3s are 29 over 32.
So I will also say to the board that we will have more opportunities to address salaries during the regular budget season. Just know that this is a give and take. That if we try to do more than that, Dr. Westwell will wait till this meeting's over and ask me where's that coming from. We're trying very, very hard not to raise fees to school districts right now because we know almost all of them are in a financial crunch because they're losing federal funding. And so I'm trying to hold the fees steady because I know they're hurting, but I'm also trying to put us in a position where we can stay competitive with salaries. And so I know this number, we'd like it to be bigger, but to a Mescal's question, where's the money coming from? You know, so it's a balance, it's a give and take.
So I'm just thinking about this, if we're talking about this stipend as potentially a one-time thing, right? Is this coming from a fund that is going to be a continuous fund, or is this, like, where is this money coming back from for the stipend?
For the immediate year, we do have 10 vacancies. So 65,000, 67,000 times 10 is a little over 600,000, so that will cover that. However, for the new year, when we look at the whole budget, we need to take this into account plus other things to make sure that it is balanced. And so we will do that during that time.
And I would add to that, you know, this is kind of a pilot. Now, if this works, then we'll embed it into our operating costs. And this will be a reoccurring stipend that everyone can expect, and we'll promote it as such. But if it doesn't work, then we've got to try something else. And we've done something similar like this with Head Start, where we get a huge raises with Head Start, thinking it was gonna cure all our vacancies, and it's barely put a dent in it. So that was not the solution to that problem. And so, you know, Dr. Sylvester and I have had long conversations like, what's our contingency plan if this doesn't work? What does this look like?
Does it help us at all if we're looking at things that could potentially be one time and not being worked into the budget, embedded into the future budgets, that maybe we could use funds from choice partners or something like that? Does that aid at all?
No, because it is basically personnel. But we do have the funds identified already for this particular cost. In the other thing on the stipend, the 2,000 is really going to be an increase in the minimum, because when you pay a non-exempt employee, if they work overtime, you have to pay them also based on the stipend as well. So it's not just the 2,000. So if they do get paid overtime, then they will get paid a proration of that as well. So what that stipend does, basically, it raises the minimum for that individual by $2,000.
I'd like to recommend and urge the administration to look for a little bit more money. I'd like to propose at least $3,000 for the TAs, if not $3,500. $3,500 would cost an extra $90,000.
Sure, we will look at that, but as we look at the salaries, we're going to wait for TASB to come back with a salary study, and then these boxes usually get moved. So that means that we're probably going to move these boxes along the way for the market. And so that may be addressed at that time for that delta that you're talking about, because we still have to come back with it with a general pay increase that would also augment that amount as well. We're looking right here as an assignment for the campus, and now knowing that there's this general pay increase that's going to come in to augment that, which will probably get you there. We'll probably end up around that amount of money.
Okay, I like that what y'all are saying is that essentially we're gonna have a chance to look at this again in a few months, whenever we have more information, but that it sounds like we need to make a step right now just to be in a better position in the meantime.
And buy some money.
Of course.
Yeah, just to have the TAs making at least half of what we're proposing the teachers make, they should be up around 37.5. So.
Right. We will look at that during the past week and identify some folks.
Folks, y'all are hurting me right now.
Okay, man, could you?
That's our job.
$1,000 a year later.
That's our job. Okay, I make a
Who
motion.
can live on $35,000 a year?
I know, but
You know?
we'll address this. Okay. I move to accept, is already done? Okay, let's go. All right.
All right, y'all ready to go for a vote? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right, are we going to executive session? Yeah. Under the Texas Government Code pursuant to any and all purposes permitted by sections 551.001, 551.084, including but not limited to 551.071, 551.074, and or 551.082, we go to the executive session at 12:59. We are back from executive session at 1:36 p.m. May I have a motion on item 4A, obtaining legal advice regarding HCDE? We don't need a motion to table. Okay. So, we will be tabling items from executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion made by trustee Davis, seconded by trustee Holmes, all in favor? I see you, see you later. We are adjourned at 1.